Hey guys, Books Nelson here, back with another video, and today we'll be talking about the newly released Bill Walton card. First things first, a moment of silence. Rest in peace to Mr. Walton, a great player and personality, absolutely monster player in UCLA, and did manage to get an NBA championship. Career cut a little short, but not necessarily short, but a little held back because of injuries, or drastically held back because of injuries. Actually, one of the old school what if stories of the NBA, one of the first great passing big men of the league. So as we scroll through here, it's a quick moment of silence for Mr. Walton before we get into the content. Okay, so a quick note on the badges that you want to give Bill Walton. I would say open looks, handles for days, space creator are tops. And then after that, you have a whole bunch of shooting badges you could give him, like limitless. I would say green machine is way up there. I would say those four badges are pretty much non-negotiable. And again, as always, the reason you put handles for days on him is not necessarily because you want to dribble with him, although this card does have great dribbles. It's more so that when he does dribble, he doesn't become a terrible card because he put the ball on the ground. The handles for days, the stamina penalty is extremely high if you don't have handles for days. So I think if a card doesn't have it, unless they're a complete and total 3-and-D cone, you 100% want to put handles for days on it, especially centers who might be in situations where they're running down court. Getting you a quick one like that, you don't want that to, take minutes off of the card being on the floor. All right. So Bill Walton, what else does he got going on? Actually, before we get into this stuff, we'll just talk about the shoe real quick. What shoe would you put on Bill Walton? And it's pretty straightforward. So he is fantastic at everything. Three-pointer, absolutely. You want to open up that green window as much as possible because he has a very small green window on his jumper from behind the three-point line. Mid-range, very easy to hit every shot. But from the three-point line, it's a fairly narrow window that you want to expand as much as possible with ratings and badges. All right? Other than that, I would say the next thing you're going for is speed. And I would also say speed with ball, absolutely. Strength, absolutely. And then after that, it's kind of dealer's choice. You could either put it in something athletically, like vertical, or you could put it into his steal rating. But the earlier ones that we talked about, the shooting, I would 100% put that up. And if you want shot take, I think if you put this at 99, you might wind up getting shot take, which again, if this character gets a couple of blocks and rebounds and is moving into that shooting takeover, the shooting window is going to open up much more and dramatically increase the level of card that he is, because then he'll be basically elite at everything. Because he's going to be elite at defense, he's going to be elite at shooting, at going to the basket. He's just fantastic dribbles, which we'll cover very shortly. 97 pass act, which is no surprise because again, he was arguably, definitely one of the earliest great passing big men in the league. So, you expect all of that stuff to be really, really great. So if you can also make him a great shooter by doing that, that is a way that I think you might want to go. And make sure you have no other stats at 99 when you do that so that you are guaranteed to get that shooting takeover. Hopefully that works out when you put the shoe on Bill. All right, so let's talk about Mr. Walton. So we'll cover the shooting first. So you saw the release. Now he's going to be so good at leaners and step backs because he has a great leaner animation and he has Jokic step backs, right? You guys know how much I love the Jokic step back. It's one of the great weapons in my team, and really what separates my team from my career, because it's good in my career, but in my career, you're never going to have the combination of dribble moves, size, and ratings that you can get in my team. You can't get a 99 mid-range big in my career, right? You can only do that in my team. So as good of a tool as it may be in my career, it's going to always be a better tool in my team because of who is taking the shot. And a very easy to see release cue there. His hand goes under the ball. From mid-range, this character, I cannot stress this enough, this character is an absolute monster once his feet are inside the three-point line. I think he can do anything you want him to do inside the three-point line. So, and I believe this is on Hall of Fame difficulty, just to mention, yes, we are on Hall of Fame difficulty. So just got this card, Hall of Fame difficulty, hitting those shots already with a little bit of practice. You will never miss in the mid-range with Mr. Bill Walton, be it a leaner or the Jokic step back. So with a great tool like that, it leaves us to, well, how do you get to that tool? As of the time of this recording, he is not yet on 2KDB. I will check one more time before we get started to see if we can read off the exact animations, but if we can't, no worries because we have the card right in front of us. Yes, he's still not on 2KDB. All right, so dribble style. I'm pretty sure this is Michael Jordan dribble style. The thing of note with this on him is it's not going to be as fast as it's going to be on a 6'7", 6'6", and certainly not a point guard, right? So the push cross is already slower than D-Books, but with him, it's going to be even slower. And we'll talk about that shortly. The front push cross is definitely a better situation. However, if you combo into it, you guys are going to see it has an extra delay, right? Off of that front push cross. It's not going to be quite as fast. It's not quite as snappy. So I do think it's usable, but at the same time, people do have a chance to kind of see it. It's not happening before they can react. But he has ways to get around that. So that covers the dribble style. Here's his size up. See his between the legs. See his crossover. Reasonably quick. Let's see what combos he has out of that. Pretty slow size up combos. I don't know if this is Melo or I don't think it's Paul George. I think it might be Melo or somebody like that. Or Kobe. I don't know. Kobe's might be a little better. But again, it's on a 6'11 card, so everything's like a little slower. But I would say, you know, B- on the, or solid B on the size up. And really what we're talking about is that size up combination into the dribble style. I think it's okay. I don't think it's his best tool, but we will get to his best tools very shortly. All right. So his escape move. So it appears that he has tray escape. Pretty sure this is tray escape. Apologize for the New York City noises outside. And so with that tray escape, a lot of things open up for Bill Walton. So obviously anybody who has the tray escape can L2 cancel and do all of that good stuff. That's cool. But really, the thing about the tray escape is it solves the problem of his dribble style not being super quick. Because anytime you would want to push cross, you can just tray escape out and use that burst from the tray escape. Now, I will warn you guys. Because he is a larger card, the tray escape is slower and it is a slightly different timing to get that perfect explosion that you saw right there, right? You have to work on that timing a little bit. It's just a little bit of a delay, a little bit slower, you know, visually a little bit slower. So, but once you get it, you're fine. As you guys can see, I've only been playing with the card a little bit, hitting that fairly consistently already. All right, so tray escape, and let's look at the tray between, which is also pretty solid. And again, a little more useful on this card for reasons we will get into shortly. All right, combo moves. So this combo move normally, I would say is not that great. However, because of the rest of the tools that this card has, I think it's not that bad. Breakdown moves. So this breakdown move, the regular up, I don't know how much I love that, but he does have the LeBron James breakdown move. And now I'm going to talk about his snatchback and his behind the back. So he appears to have the James Harden snatchback, right? And he also has this behind the back, which I'm not sure if this is James or Tyrese, but that's his behind the back. So one of the more elite behind the backs in the game. And with his shot, he can shoot off of that behind the back very effectively, particularly from the mid-range. So if you're doing anything in the mid-range and you L2 cancel into that, that is a viable tool for Bill Walton. So now, if we go back into the mid-range for a second and look at his scoring options, and we're going to get back to the dribbling, but I just want to highlight what you're getting to with this card. With this card, you're getting to everything. You can get to your leaners, you can get to your step backs, you can get to your stick dunks, you can get to your floaters. He has a big man floaters, right? That's a little close, but if you do it at the free throw line, he has that straight up and down, like big man floater, like so, right? Floaters, leaners, step backs, on, you know, going every single direction, stick dunks. He might even have a scoop. Let's see what his scoop looks like. But long story short, going to the basket, this card can do anything he wants once he's moving towards the basket inside the three-point line. Once he gets inside that three-point line, if you're good at the game, you can do anything with Bill Walton. The opponent cannot, they have to guess what you're going to do, because I think each of the options is basically equally powerful once you're in that mid-range area. So stick dunking, obviously automatic, but the leaners, the floaters, everything, all of that is there. So going back to his tools, now looking at this behind the back and this step back, right? So because of his size, I think you have to lean a little bit more on the escapes out of these moves, right? So here I'm just doing the snatchbacks, behind the backs into tray escape. And this, if you look, the tray escape out of that dribble style, it gives you that quicker burst going to the basket, right? What we called on here the Diddy Bop. Somebody made a hilarious joke about that term now. But yeah, so with the tray escape, obviously you can also L stick cancel if you know that kind of stuff. But even without going to super fancy business, I would say this. Tray escape, so let the tray escape happen, right? And then go the other direction and you get this sort of thing. But you want to hold a little more forward on the stick, just like that. This is a great, great move, especially on a card like Bill Walton, right? Because he's such a large card that that move, and you see I'm triggering it a little too early because you got to wait. You have to wait like a little longer than you do on normal cards, which is actually kind of a good thing for Bill for a reason we're going to discuss very shortly, right? So tray escape into that forward push cross, just like that. That forward push cross. You got to be really vertical on the left stick to get that to trigger properly. But once you do, very smooth, great move. Now again, you're combining that. Anytime I told you earlier in the video about using that escape, so out of this combo move, that escape will give you that same thing there. Out of the snatchback, the escape will give you that. I did again. It did too early, kind of spoiler alert there. But out of the snatchback, the escape gives you that smooth kind of attack, right? So you can really attack off of that tray escape going either direction, because obviously you can tray escape and burst, right? Or you can tray escape and go back the other way. And again, really, there you go. Vertical on the stick. That's the main thing. You got to stay vertical on the stick. And you got to wait. It's like, I swear, I'm so used to cards like Dr. J, where it's like super snappy. But on Bill Walton, you just have to wait a little bit. Let the animation play out a lot more. But as you can see, once you learn how to do that, it's not difficult to do at all. It's just not what you're used to, which is why I'm warning you guys about it. Okay, now to the move that I've been doing by accident over and over, I want to tell you guys about. So if you do your attack cross, right? So this is the attack cross out of the tray escape. Right? You see the way that ball goes up? That is such a great move, because if you look at your hezi, right? So you do a hezi and you can go the other way. And it's actually one of the snappier moves out of the Michael Jordan dribble style, is to hesitate and go the other direction, right? Let the hezi play out a little bit so the opponent does see the ball. It's actually a good thing that it's slow, because you want to visually deceive them. You want the player to look at that and believe you're going one direction. Now, with that move that we just showed you, you can go the same side and burst out of that as well. And it looks very, very similar to the hezi. And then as a bonus, if you let that move play out, you can continue to go in the opposite direction as well. So that move is basically 3 functions as a fake. 1, you can same side burst out of it. 2, you can go the other way, but also it looks like the hezi, which gives you a different burst that you can get out of with the regular hezi as well. And again, with that move, anytime you do a snatch or a double cross, you can throw that move in and burst out of that move whichever direction you want to go, you know? So that is a very deep bag for a card that is a 6'11", 7'3" wingspan card. I think the main thing with Bill is getting used to Bill on the catch and shoot. If you're on all-star difficulty here in the practice room, you'll hit every shot. But once you switch to Hall of Fame, you'll see this green window is a little on the small side. So I do think it's very important to give Bill a shoe, to have your coach going, and to really get in the practice room and lock in on this release, because it is a relatively small green window with his hand going under the ball, right? Usually I can get pretty consistent with a jumper in a very, very short amount of time. I do think eventually Bill will be very consistent for the people who are using the card a whole lot. I'm really talking about from the 3-point line, because again, mid-range, he's going to hit everything. Even, and I didn't even talk about this, but even his spin jumper is like easy to hit. He's just so money at everything in the mid-range. Like if you like the mid-range game, or you like going to the basket with a big, Bill is going to give that to you in spades. And I think that really steps him a level above a lot of other cards. The one thing with Bill, if I was going to say, not even a drawback, but just the win condition, right, for Bill Walton is getting used to him on the catch and shoot. Because if he's an elite catch and shoot 3-point shooter for you, then the card basically has no flaws. Once he becomes an elite catch and shoot 3-pointer shooter, he has no flaws. So again, you want to give him that handles for days. I would say even with the dribbling stuff, it's not like you're going to come here and do all of these combos, right? Like Bill, he has access to a lot of stuff. He really does. Like once you mix in the escapes, the card can move. Like he really can do almost anything any good card can do. The only thing he doesn't really have is like a super crazy snatch. His snatchback, the James Harden snatchback, is better in combos than it is for creating space. But again, on a 7 foot, 6'11" big, I don't think that's as much of an issue, particularly because he's usually going to be guarded by bigs who are, they're all still slower in this game, right? So you guys can see combo wise, Bill has a very, very deep bag, but you want to get to his efficient bag because centers and power forwards lose stamina more quickly. And because of his elite mid-range ability, he has access to that efficient bag. It's not like he has to farm and search for all kinds of crazy stuff. Although again, he, because of the nature of the card, he isn't like his jumper. He can L2 cancel into that jumper in the mid-range as well. Again, he has every single mid-range tool you could possibly want at the most elite level, in my opinion, to be honest with you. The only thing I would say he doesn't have is when he's going to the basket, his crossover is kind of mid, right? So if you're playing that bread and butter game of bursting and then crossing over with Bill, it's not going to be as good as it would be, obviously, with a Dr. J or a Shea, which I think is a lot to ask for a power forward, especially a free power forward that we got today. But I will say it's still good. It's just not to that level. But again, if you're 6'6" trying to do that stuff, that's one thing. But when you're 6'11" trying to do that, it's a different thing. You don't need an elite crossover for that to be a very effective tool. So point being, when you're comboing up with Bill, get into his efficient game, get into all of those moving shots, and the more you get that in your muscle memory, I think Bill, once he's going to the basket and he's right here after a move like that, just going to the rim, your opponent is basically at your mercy. If you're good at the game, I actually don't think that they can legitimately stop you. And I will say this, because a lot of people ask me about off-ball, like people who off-ball. If they're off-balling Bill Walton, that's good news because the computer does not guard that off-ball. They just do not. If you're being locked up by the computer, you just need to do a couple of more cancels and a couple of more step backs with a card like this, because the computer legitimately has to be super duper close. Like even if it was a point guard, the computer can contest a point guard much easier. But if you can do that on a consistent basis, even the spin dunk, not the spin dunk, the spin jumper, the computer's not good at guarding that. So if they do, like when people off-ball me with Jokic, with that whichever version of Jokic you're using, that's easy money, right? And the same thing will be true of Bill Walton. I would say, in a lot of ways, he's kind of like Jokic. I don't want to say Jokic on steroids, because I think as a catch and shoot player, Jokic's release is just a lot easier and Jokic can shoot from limitless. But in terms of that mid-range area, he's basically a better Jokic. In terms of the SIGs, I got to use the new Jokic more to get the dark matter before I put the final verdict on how he really moves with everything, all together. But I will say, Bill Walton going to the basket, creating in the mid-range, cream of the crop. All right, before we get out of here, let's look at his hezzy. So he has that hezzy. I don't know whose that is, but that is a good one. And he can very easily hezzy burst, which means on this behind the back, he has access to all of the silly stuff. And you start mixing in that escape, and really Bill Walton can move very well for a card of his size. You see the dribble style coming into effect. I mean, Bill Walton, I would say this. This is definitely one of the more fun, interesting cards in the game from a creative standpoint, because I really do feel like if you get into his bag, it's lights out, man. It's lights out. So that's going to wrap it up for the Bill Walton breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed. And if you do grab this Bill Walton and start using him in the wild, let me know how you guys are doing with him and if this video helped you out in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.